Hey everybody, Eric Dorward here with the Spartan Rocketry Club, continuing to attempt to attach the fins here to my Estes Sentinel rocket. So, since the last video, these two fins they look pretty well aligned, which is good, because if they weren't, well, that'd be a pretty big problem. As for the other ones, I have kind of scraped most of the glue off where I wanted the fins to go in the first place, so this is reasonably clean. And I did the same to the fin's roots. They're still a little tacky, which is probably not the world's worst thing. So I'm gonna dive right in here. Same deal as before. The good news about all this is, I have some of the fins on, so there's less that I really need to. And I have them on, I should say, in a pretty convincing way. They seem to be aligned. So I'm going to take this a little bit more slowly. The last, trying to reattach things, I probably sped through that and then ended up just making it, well, not worse, but it probably wasn't going to end up too well. I wasn't allowing enough time for the glue in the fins to really tack up enough so that I could trust them. So ultimately, the problem here is that I'm going to end up having the two that are on right now, they're not permanently set. It hasn't been a lot of real life time, but they're going to be really hard to adjust at this point. So I'm going to have to align these fins basically to the ones that are already on there. So, putting this in place, I'll check its alignment momentarily. I need a good 30 seconds or so for this to set up adequately for me to trust it, that I can make minor adjustments without everything falling off. I believe, too, the fin that was just not in the right place, that it felt like it was in the wrong place, I believe that's the line that I'm not working with at the moment, but we'll find out here shortly. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the one that's facing me at the moment. Alright, this is not attached particularly well right now. I can feel it's really tentatively attached. And part of that is the gluing surface isn't nice and smooth anymore. That's why it's nice to get this done right the first time. Alright, that felt reasonably good. Alright, checking alignment. I have a little bit of that warp issue again. Not much, but it looks okay. Alright, checking the alignment with the fin that's vertically across from it. That looks pretty decent. And I'm just trying to smooth out the excess glue there. Kind of bumped it a little bit. It's fun. Alright. I'm going to let this sit for... Jeez. Bumped it. I bumped it again. Alright. I'm going to let this sit for longer than I typically would. Mostly because, I've been messing around with it. I don't really trust the glue yet. It's going to be worse, probably, than it would need to be. So I think what I'm going to do in the meantime is I'm going to grab my launch lugs here and I'm going to attach them. Fortunately, the launch lug line is facing me at the moment, and this is generally pretty easy work. I don't usually go with the whole two layers of glue approach to this, because the launch lug doesn't require a lot in order to keep it on there. It's pretty light and it has a decent amount of surface area. So I'm going to do this vertically. I'm not going to lay this down for fear of everything falling off. So hopefully you can see reasonably well. I need to check for the alignment vertically, but I'm not going to do that just quite yet. I'm going to put both of them on and then check their alignment pretty much at the same time. There we go. Alright, so that's, sorry that's out of frame, but now it's in frame maybe? There we go. Alright, so yeah, I need to check to see if each individual one is on the line, and then I need to see that the two of them are aligned together. So I can do that reasonably well. So this first one is crooked because if I'm looking down it, it is, you know, the upper end of it was not straight with the line. I'm kind of actually surprised at that. Usually that one's easier to see than the other. So that's fine. And this one looks pretty well straight too. So they look pretty good now. And now the last thing I need to do is I need to look down them, so like this. And if you can sight it in like a telescope kind of thing, the two of them together, it should be pretty good. Oh, and my one fin that I was trying to allow to set up, it is not set up like at all. Just the act of me, oh my goodness, putting those on has completely knocked it off kilter. So I need to hold this again, it seems like. My goodness. This one, I don't know, it just desperately does not want to be attached. I'm going to try pushing down a little bit too, a little bit harder than I normally would to keep it in place. Like I said, I don't, look how feeble this bond is. Rather frustrating, to be honest. I think, like I said earlier, I think this is a direct result of the root edge not being completely flat, either, you know, flat front to back or flat just from left to right. So either way would make this, you know, more difficult for the glue to set. It's not a good cut fin on the bottom. That's kind of the bottom line here. I didn't do the world's greatest job, I guess, in sanding it down. Alright, feels a little bit more stable, but it is not like at all aligned. There, bumped it up. It looks better now. Alright. So I'm going to let that sit for a little bit. I guess I can try to prep the next fin a little bit, but let's just take a look at this and make sure it is reasonably flat as well. This I don't think is the problem. I suspect that there were some like leftover glue bumps as the glue was drying when I removed it the last time. I didn't clean it up as well as I suppose I could have. You could definitely try, you know, like sanding it down in between. Wood glue kind of sands. I was hoping I would not need to do that, and I still hope that I don't need to do that. Hopefully I'll be able to attach this without any further complications, put it that way. I'm going to take longer here again than I normally would because I want this glue to, you know, not fight me so much, and I definitely want that last fin that I attached to be as set as I am likely to get it. So the more time the glue is sitting here and setting up, probably the better. Alright, continuing on. Thin layer of glue here. Alright. Moment of truth. Feels pretty stable. I say I don't like immediately flop over. Please don't flop over on me. There it goes. Yep. Well, let's get this one on right, and then we can worry about that diabolical fourth or third fin, however you want to look at it. Alright, I'm going to grab this one, and maybe I can hold it up. I doubt it, but I can try. It seems unlikely. What I'm really concerned about right now is that this is the fin I think that was misaligned, or the line that's misaligned, however you want to look at it. So if that is indeed the case, then I don't actually want it to be fully set, because I might have to try to adjust it again. This I don't think is going to hold that way, but I can at least try it. Alright. Checking for alignment on the fin I just attached. It actually looks pretty good. Alright, so it's just this guy. And I think the glue is still tacky enough that I can maybe get this attached, or at least let it sit, and maybe it'll hold. I don't know. Alright, I'm going to set this up vertically now. And I'm going to do an alignment check. It's kind of intact. That one fin is definitely not right. The last one that I just attached seems to be pretty good. So I'm going to smear out the excess glue, and now I'm going to, again, sorry you can't see, but I'm going to try to align the weak fin. Actually, I'm going to try to align all the fins just quickly. Actually, it doesn't look that bad right now. Again, I have a grid line here on my cutting board, which I will use to check alignment finally, but for right now, I'm just kind of eyeballing the two of them together, like the fins that are opposite to each other. They ought to be, you know, they ought to be parallel, right? This guy, the last one I attached, so this one, I still don't think it's quite where it ought to be with regard to the line, but it's better. It's certainly better. I can live with it. And it's just that one fin that did not want to stay. Alright. I'm going to somewhat throw caution to the wind here. I'm going to flip this over. Ugh. Yep, that was caution to the wind. Take that wind. Yeah. Well, let's try it again. Back to vertical then. Well, 3 out of 4 of the fins I am content with where they are. They seem pretty well aligned. This fourth guy, I mean, I just got it on anyway, so I don't know. I'm going to do my best to align the fins as they are, and then what I'm going to have to do is in about 5 or 10 minutes of real time, when hopefully this final fin has decided it wants to be a team player and cooperate, I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to use my grid line, and I should be able to adjust some of the fins still at that point. The grid line is really kind of the ultimate arbiter of whether I did this right or not. But as you've seen repeatedly at this point, I cannot just flip it over because that last fin isn't going to tolerate like being moved at all at this point, it seems like. And I doubt, again, the fins are swept back. So since they're swept back, I would have to allow the rocket to stand on its fins. And that's probably going to break the fourth fin, the one that is giving me so much trouble. So that's kind of a pain. We're going to leave it here. Again, 5 minutes or so in the future, I'm going to try to flip this over and use my grid. in order to see how I did, and then hopefully everything will be set or be accurate enough. I can make any last minute minor corrections, and then I can let it set up permanently. I'm going to put the fillets on this like immediately after I let it set, because that last one definitely needs the extra strength. Alright, so thanks for watching. This has been rather frustrating, but I guess, it's cinema verite, I guess. It's happens from time to time. It's good to see. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.